Hey guys, so today we are talking about my favorite piece by Felix Mendelssohn. This is Richte, micht, Gott. It is German and it loosely translates to defend me, God, or do justice for me, God. Basically calling on God to be the defender. This is the second of three different psalms that Mendelssohn set to music in about 1843. So he was well into his musical career. He was a really well established composer, and people wanted to hear more from him. So what's interesting about this and what I think gives it this really lush and full sound is that most choirs, this piece is written for choir, and most of the time when we talk about a choir, we're talking about four different voices. So you could sing, or there are about four notes going on at any given time. This piece is written for eight. That means that at any given time there might be eight different notes happening, and that just gives it this really full sound. And it definitely requires a more advanced choir to be able to do it. So you don't hear it that often, but when you do, it's one of those pieces that I think a lot of musicians can pick up and do pretty well. Um, uh, we can kind of divide this song into sections. The first one kind of starts really somber. The men with their lower, darker voices take the lead on everything, and it's basically questioning, why have you left me alone, oh God? And then you'll hear it kind of split and change into, and the words are sende dein Licht, or send your light, and it gets much brighter, much lighter. The women with their higher voices start to take a little bit more of an important role. And then it gets a little bit darker again, when it questions, why are you so downcast, my soul? So just kind of a little shift there, and then it opens up into this huge chorus, with everybody together singing Harre auf Gott, which is hope in God, and that continues through the end of the song. Um, I really like this because, I liked performing it, but then I was also helping to teach a music theory course at the time. And music theory is essentially how music works, why we write things the way they do, what kinds of things work well together in music and what doesn't. And this was a younger class, so they were focusing primarily on being able to label all the different things in their music. So we would give them a piece of music, the actual music itself, and then we would let them listen to it, and they would have to label it. And there's usually one, maybe two right answers. There's not a lot of discussion. But when I gave this to them, they had all different kinds of answers, which is kind of what I wanted, because when you listen to it, it sounds very, very clear. It sounds very right to your ear, and you're like, oh, no, that's exactly what my ear wanted to hear. But then when you actually sit down and look at it, it's a very complex work. And I think that's a really good balance that Mendelssohn had between the classical era of Bach being very pleasant to your ear, and the Romantic era being able to use all these different textures and make things very complex. And it depends on how you interpret the song. It depends on what you think Mendelssohn meant when he was writing, and there just starts to be a lot of interpretation that these students hadn't had before. So it was really, really interesting, and it made me love the piece even more. This is the song that if somebody says, I don't really like Mendelssohn, I say, go listen to this song and then tell me you don't like Mendelssohn. It is absolutely gorgeous. So I hope you guys really, really enjoy this. This is Richte mit Gott by Felix Mendelssohn.